16 months ago, I, Robert Kappa, and a crew of 7 left Earth frozen in a solar winter. Our payload, a stellar bomb with a mass equivalent to Manhattan Island. Our purpose, to create a star within a star. Welcome to Icarus 2.
As mentioned earlier, Sunshine, a Danny Boyle film, takes place in the near future of 2057. The sun is dying, causing the Earth to go into a solar winter, and the crew of the Icarus 2 are on their way to reignite the sun using what they call a stellar bomb. And if you're wondering what happened to the Icarus 1, well, in this video we'll largely be staying away from spoilers, with the purpose of it to simply bring some focus to this often forgotten tale and ask the question, does it still hold up? Let's find out. But before we go on, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why don't you like and subscribe now, baby? Why don't you like and subscribe now to the thunder? Alpaca! I sincerely apologize about that singing. Made with a relatively low budget for a science fiction film, at $40 million, Sunshine still shares certain production traits you'd find in more modestly funded movies in the genre. This includes largely sticking to interior shots, embracing practical effects when viable, and keeping the number of sets or locations at a minimum, thus saving their budget for those key scenes that required it. All visual effects were carried out by the Moving Picture Company, or MPC for short, and while the overall budget was not minuscule, Tom Wood and his team had their work cut out for them with 750 shots to work on in post-production, not to mention the ever-present technical hurdles and budgetary constraints they had to overcome. Luckily, in a move that's far from common, the VFX team had a year to complete their shots, thus ensuring that the movie's visuals would be given the best possible chance to shine. Bad CGI effects are usually the product of insufficient time, so the extra allotment given to MPC was just what the doctor ordered.
Prescription. Bathroom. 2 hours.
As a result, the Moving Picture Co. delivered the spectacle that the script demanded, treating us to some handsome visuals that help flesh out the world and providing us with one of the most stunning renderings you will see of the sun.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mercury. You and the darkness are distinct from each other because darkness is an absence of something. It's a vacuum. But total light envelops you. It becomes you. It's very strange. I recommend it.
The plot of the story is fairly straightforward. For the most part. For spoiler reasons, I can't really say more, but Alex Garland's script does an excellent job at providing proper setups and payoffs throughout its runtime. It's very formulaic in this manner, but I can't really knock it for its simplicity as there are more important themes at work. Specifically, exploring the different ways we'll interpret the world around us, but more importantly, how we choose to act. To illustrate this, the movie's ensemble cast is in charge of portraying the varying facets of humankind. From James Mace, an engineer who is governed by logic, to the ship's counselor and medical officer Cyril, who by the beginning of the movie has already established a strong spiritual connection with the sun. And this last bit may sound absurd, but the crew has been stuck inside this ship for the last 16 months, and traveling through the bleakness of space, the only other constant is the sun. It is by every means a character in the story whose ever-growing presence imposes different pressures on each crew member. But who we are is not binary. Our identity fits within a spectrum that is dictated by our life experiences and then further complicated by endless contradictions. Take James Mace again. While logical and cool under pressure, he is also governed by emotion and often lets them spill over when confronted by opposing views. Now, with that said, James doesn't have a character arc. In fact, no one does, except for Robert Capa, our physicist who is played by Cillian Murphy. But even here, there isn't anything groundbreaking. Kappa is the outsider who interacts with others who already have well-defined traits, while he slowly changes.
Shit.
I don't see any fault in this either. In fact, it allows the viewer to hone in on Kappa as the audience's surrogate, that is, the one we identify with. And it's through Kappa that we experience the story while the other crew members are there to establish the themes I spoke about earlier. Before I move on, if I were to give some negatives, they'd largely be confined to the plot, specifically the third act. It can be a bit polarizing, to say the least, but unfortunately, in order to keep this largely spoiler-free, I can't elaborate on it. You'll just have to watch it, if you haven't already. In all, it's an illuminating ending. Pun intended. Now, as good as a story is, you need a good musical score to tie it all together and elevate the emotions portrayed on screen. And I've always felt this is even more pronounced in science fiction or fantasy films due to their inherently larger-than-life nature. If done right, it only takes a couple notes to transport you back to the movie it's tied to. It becomes a part of the world, and Sunshine delivers. The music in the film was a collaboration between the British electronic band The Underworld and the composer John Murphy. It contains several noteworthy tracks such as Kappa's Transmission Home and Mercury. But the true standout from the bunch is the title track Sunshine. Or Adagio in D minor for us fancy people. Yes. Oh, dividends, am I right? I drove a Bentley and I listened to Chopin. And just to show you how popular this track is, even if you haven't watched this movie, it's very likely you've heard it before. Just check out this nice list of TV shows, films, and commercials that sport Adagio in D minor. But to me, this track will always be Sunshine. It's a companion piece during two of the most pivotal moments in the film, and as such, whenever I hear it, I'm immediately transported back to the Icarus II. Where does this leave us then? Sunshine is a love letter to science fiction films of the past. Inspired by notable entries such as 2001: Space Odyssey and Alien, Danny Boyle's one and only venture into this realm owes some of its aesthetics and elements to giants of the past. But as a piece of art, it not only stands on its own merits, it also contributes its own unique flavor to the genre. There's a lineage of science fiction stories stretching back centuries, and I would wager that Sunshine fits right along its esteemed compatriots. And in time, it too will inspire future screenwriters and filmmakers to look up at the night sky and dream the dreams that transcend time and space. Thank you for watching. Sunshine's a great movie. Recommend it. And if you haven't already, watch it. And also, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Pretty good, eh? Oh, and as I always say to my dear friends out there, piacere, Girolamo, Trombeta. Trombeta.